Brothers, thanks for coming back. I'm Chris, the host of the Rising Suns podcast. And because you're here, I know that part one of my discussion with the Hill Country Men on Fire meant a lot to you. So you're back for part two, and I know that you will not be disappointed. So thanks for coming back, and enjoy part two of this discussion with the Hill Country Men on Fire. And then we as men, we can come up with obstacles or perceive obstacles to avoid doing just about anything, right? And so can you tell me, if you were to pinpoint one factor or one obstacle that keeps a man from assuming the role as a son of the Most High and a godly man, what would you say that was?
Yeah, for me, I mean, back before I did find the Lord, before my life changed, I just remember seeing Christian men and people that went to church and stuff like that, and I just knew there was no way that I would ever want to or could even be that kind of person. Call it agreements or whatever, that I wasn't good enough or worthy enough or any of that stuff. But it was also, I don't know, it was so foreign to me, it was a little creepy, you know what I mean? So that kept me from Christianity and church and all that stuff for actually until I was 47 years old. Life had really turned to a really bad spot, and things were looking very bleak, and I gave in, and I went to an Acts retreat and had a mountaintop experience that completely changed my life. But it wasn't until the Wild at Heart message, when I went to my first boot camp. I remember sitting there the first night in the session, Heart of a Man, and just screaming inside of my head, is anybody else hearing this? Because that's what I've been needing, to be able to be close to God and still be a man.
Yeah.
Because I didn't believe that's what Christianity was asking me to be.
David?
I think if you had to pinpoint one thing that would keep a man from being a true son of God, it would be just absolutely being truthful about himself, not only to a band of brothers, but to God himself. I mean, God knows your story and he knows everything about you, but if you're not willing to spell that out and say it, I think that's the biggest thing that can hold a man back.
Yeah.
Because anything short of that, and they're living a lie, and they're hiding. And, it's just, Jamie Winship is a guy that we kind of follow, podcast guy these days, and author. And he's convinced that, and he says and believes that you can't really have an intimate relationship with God unless you're living out of your true God-given identity. Anything short of that, which is just truth, right? Anything short of that, and you're just skirting around some issues in your life. I think there's a lot of people, and I think this is one of the issues with a church and in a, in the text context that we're talking about, big building, lots of people. There's a lot of folks that can just hide in that church.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I think that is what the people outside the church look and go, oh, those are guys just going there to check a box and call themselves holy.
How was that guy?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's room for that in the church, and I think a lot of people grade the church as that. I think what we do here is going back to almost the original intent at the very beginning of what Jesus was trying to establish, that you disciple a few guys, and then those few guys go out and disciple more guys.
Yeah. So this question gets to where you guys as mentors, leaders, men that we look up to because of your heart. For that man out there who struggles to find a brotherhood, to formulate that band of brothers, what would your advice be to that guy?
Well, for me, the main thing would be, you got to be authentic. You can't come to me and be the poser. You can't come on, trying to fit in with the crowd. You've got to come to me, full-heartedly. You got to be willing to take chances, and if you really want to get a brother, you've got to be willing to go, on an adventure, and you got to learn through the adventure, not just a hunting trip, but something that's challenging where you might fall out, but they come and help you.
Yeah.
And then you've got to be willing to go on an adventure through some terrible thing that happened in your life. And once you do that, and do some arm wrestling, I don't know, it's got to be real.
Yeah.
And it can't just be the country club friendship.
Right.
That's not brotherhood in the same way.
And authenticity, there's a great level of risk involved with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anybody else?
I think that the key ingredient for a band of brothers to have some sort of a mission as a goal, as a driver, as an inspiration to get together and work on a project together and craft it, mold it, commit to it, have deadlines, that kind of thing is a real important part of it. To be honest with you guys, would we be a cohesive band of brothers without doing Wild at Heart boot camps?
That's really hard to answer.
It's hard to answer because now that we've been doing it 8 years, I think the answer would be, yeah, we'd be okay without it. But if we had stopped doing them 4 years ago, would we still be, would I still be willing to drive to Bernie twice a week or once a week or whatever? I think the answer is we don't really know, but I don't think the chances and the odds would be as good as what they are now because we're committed to doing these boot camps.
Yeah.
So we're on mission.
So my secondary question to that is, because you've got even your group here, like you've got a wide range of ages, of different seasons of life. Some are retired, some aren't. Like life can take each one of you in separate directions. So how do you keep that camaraderie to where you're on the same mission when your own lives potentially change?
Unless the group is undergoing some sort of transformation.
Right.
It's got to be a transformative journey.
Yeah.
And so far, I think we're all still kind of on the same trajectory in that direction. And that is a key element of cohesiveness in the group. It's one of those ethereal, you can't formulate that.
Yeah.
Right.
Another thing too, I think that there's a misconception out there. There's a difference between a fellowship and a band of brothers. But like Sean was talking about earlier, unless there's a mission involved like it was for us, with one person having the vision and gathering men, you got to start off with a fellowship and find the guys that you have that connection with.
Right. Yeah.
And that's when you get to really take it to that next step, which is a huge difference in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because we love going to fires. I promote fires all the time because it is so essential to walk in this thing.
Yeah.
You have to be around like-minded men with the same skills and knowledge of this wild at heart message. If you're not with that, you're going to fail. Sorry, that's just the way it's going to happen. I know. I've been there. So
Agreed.
and I always go back to that whole thing. You have to have intentionality in your relationship with Jesus.
Yes.
There has to be, you have to intend to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And just a little side note on the fires, like when I started mine last July, my group has just been growing, and I've had quite a few guys that have come to me that I've known from different aspects of life and said, this is nothing I've ever experienced ever.
Beautiful.
I didn't know that a group of guys to get together and talk on this level and just be completely open about just man things,
Mm-hmm.
And it's been refreshing for me as the facilitator of that group. And so, yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. I've talked with a couple of friends about just specifically my community, my church, is that, especially like my church, our average age is up there, like 60, 65. And these men who are deacons, who are leaders in the church, like, not that their time is over, but like they've put in a lot of hard work for the kingdom. And the next generation needs to step up and take responsibility and let them be the sages that they are. And and the younger guys, myself included, take responsibility and move, the body of believers forward.
So that comes with what we've seen, and I don't mean to get political or anything, but what we've seen in society a few years ago up until recently of men being emasculated, right?
Yeah.
That's pushed everybody away. And it's made men scared to be men and go out and have a damn fire.
Agreed.
And have a beer, have a cigar with your buddies and talk about the good stuff. To us, the good stuff is the rescue.
Good. That's so good. All right. So this next question, I'm going to have to read it because it's a little lengthy. So for those of us involved in men's ministry, to include yourselves, and for those who just desire to see men step forward into their role that God has called them to, how can we better reach men in general? How can we better reach men? And is there something that we're missing that will help us to reach those guys for Jesus?
So that's an interesting question, because we have a model in Jesus, and he decided that he showed us that you just need a handful of a few good men, and then those men would go seek out other men.
Yeah.
Right. So he was discipling, right? And in a lot of ways, I feel like that's what we try and do. I mean, 3 days worth of grueling sessions and prayer time in between, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's really asking a lot of a man to commit to and try to keep him in the groove, so to speak, the whole weekend long, the 3-day weekend long. Jesus had the 12 for 3 years. So I don't know, the harvest is plenty and the workers are few is almost diametrically opposed to what Jesus modeled.
Yeah.
So what is the best way? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But we're playing a role that we feel is made for us, and we're made for it. And whether there's 12 guys coming or 32 guys coming, it doesn't matter. We don't publicly broadcast. We don't hang signs. We don't
Yeah.
pay for advertising.
We're not big.
We're word of mouth, and the guys come.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'd have to say I wouldn't want anybody else ever to have to go through what I did to finally make up my mind that I was going to seek out God.
Agreed.
I was ready to end it. I really was. It just got so bad. But thank God I didn't. And as far as other guys, man, that is a really hard question to answer, because I think each one of us need to hear or see or feel a different thing. It really was a big deal for me that I found something that wasn't creepy to me. And that masculinity, which something I held dear and still do, was something I wanted to be able to embrace with the Father and the Son. And this gives it to me. I mean, if I could speak to any guy out there, man, I'll take you to have a beer or have a coffee or whatever, and just let me tell you. Let me tell you.
So it is a challenge. Reaching guys. I mean, we've struggled to answer that question. We're sitting here thinking, but like you said, Jesus wants to reach each one of us, and we all have a story. The story is king, right? And we as leaders need to figure out that puzzle. All right, so I know that from my 3 times of attending a Wild at Heart boot camp, specifically a year ago this month, my life took a complete turn for the better. Like, my life has not been the same. Can you give, without naming names, can you give an example of a person who had a divine experience that completely changed their life from attending one of your boot camps?
Yeah, when you ask me that question, a particular guy comes to mind. He's a friend of mine, and we go to church together. He actually helped us on quite a few boot camps in the kitchen. He's really loves, his heart is to serve through food, so he was a great guy for that. But he attended one of our boot camps, and he came to me during the boot camp after one of the God times, and I think the weather was a little iffy or something, so he was sitting on the porch of the bunkhouse where he was staying, doing his God time. And he was telling me that every time he talked to Jesus and then stopped to listen for an answer, the empty rocking chair next to him would rock. And he said that happened several times, and he just knew that Jesus was there with him. One of the coolest things that really hits my heart close is after he had gotten home, and I seen him a couple weeks later at church. We ran into each other, and he came up and he told me, he says, Jim, he says, I got to tell you, before the boot camp, my wife and I had become roommates. But since the boot camp, we're best friends now.
Ah, that's awesome.
It's really good.
And that happens because the boy, the heart of the man, the boy, has received some healing. Yeah.
And there's so much knowledge packed into this Wild at Heart message of things that you just never realized, or you had no clue, that really are, with the right attitude, quite simple to enact in your life.
Yes.
And make a huge difference like that.
And I can speak from experience that there is so much packed into this weekend, not because you just want to pile things in there, but it is so revolutionary to a man's heart and things that most guys have never heard before, that beyond these 3 days, things continue to sink in over time and then manifest themselves in how you see yourself in the mirror, how you interact with God, your relationship with your spouse, whatever it is.
Yeah, even we were talking about it today with a couple of men. You go back to your church the next weekend and you hear the preacher's word has a new meaning now because of the new lenses that you have, right?
Yeah.
It means something different. It's truer to your heart.
Yeah. You definitely see things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. This should be pretty easy. Has God identified or illuminated anything within Hill Country Men on Fire that you see changing, being an addition to, refining? Like, what is the future like for Hill Country Men on Fire?
Well, I'm sure I speak for every man that's here and within our band. We're going to do this as long as we can.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked before about maybe taking this thing on the road. You know, if there's a group of men somewhere that they would like us to come and do the boot camp for them, there's ways we can figure that out and get that done.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you know, we just, every boot camp, we just can't believe that we have been ordained to do this and that we get to do it. It's one of the most rewarding things that any of us have ever done.
Yeah. That's great. And you can see the heart in each one of you when you speak. And like, I'm getting emotional now. Thanks for that.
You got him, Sean.
But just to see what's happened in my own life through these boot camps, and then as I bring friends with me and see their lives changed, like, that's even more important to me at this stage of my life. Guys, this has been... See, I already lost it. I blame you. I have my internal Sean in me.
Put yourself on that screen.
I struggle holding it together a lot. Guys, this has been such an honor to be here with you. Just to hear your hearts, and to be a part of this ministry. Like I said, it's changed. God has changed my life through this ministry. And for you making yourself available in such a busy time with having 30 some odd guys here, to set aside time to be with me and to speak to these guys that are listening, speaks volumes to your heart. And I so thank you for that. And then for those of you that are listening, I pray that this episode has been eye-opening to you and has pricked your heart to what God can truly do in your life and how he sees you as a son. And he's calling you. He's beckoning you. He's not going to beg you, but he beckons you. Hey, I've got something better. And this is one way to do it. They're just a way. The way is Jesus. And so I pray that you truly gain something from this episode. And if you don't have brothers, like we talked about, go find them. Start with the fellowship. And then you can find those. God will highlight those guys who will truly be those mat carriers for you. And we've talked a lot of different things about Wild at Heart. We've talked about the boot camps. We've talked about fires. If some of those things are new to you, I encourage you to get out there. Go on to wildatheart.org. They've got what Wild at Heart is really about. It's got resources that you can dig into, whether it's podcasts, whether it's books. They've got other resources that they want to point you to that'll help you to find Jesus in a different way. And then if you want to know more about boot camps, specifically maybe those hosted by Hill Country Men on Fire, or if you're not in the Central Texas area, go on to wildatheart.org into their events section, and you can find those events, whether it's a boot camp or a fire, that is in your local area. And I guarantee it will make a difference in your life. If you want to know more about Hill Country Men on Fire, go to www.hcmof.com. You can find out about each one of these guys and find out when their next boot camp is going to be. And so, as always, guys, rise up, live well, fight on. See you next time.